So I used to be a weed smoker. I was procrastinating every day, avoiding my responsibilities, and making no consistent progress towards my goals. I tried to put in the work, but whenever I did, I would be faced with difficulties. And so every time those difficulties appeared, I would find the quickest way of escaping them. Then I would become pissed off at myself, and I would use that anger to fuel me, to push me forward and start doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. But I noticed that that anger didn't stay for long, because once that anger faded, I would start doing the bad habits again, start not being aligned to my goals, make no progress, and be in the same cycle all over again. So I was thinking to myself, how can I keep myself from doing the things that I shouldn't be doing? Because I did notice that my emotional reaction to that anger fueled me to push me forward. They tend to keep me going harder than anything else. So I started thinking, and I found my emotional reasons to keep pushing me forward so that I can consistently make progress every day towards my goals. And that's what I want to share with you today so that you can just copy me. So the way that you can actually find your strong emotional why is that you have to think about the life that you want to live, the man that you want to become, the habits that you want to have, the benefits of you accomplishing those goals, and the consequences of you not fulfilling that goal that you have set out for yourself. Specifically, what price will you have to pay in the future? Because whenever we start doing this, because the moment that we start doing that, we start to stop thinking about being angry about what we did in the past, and we start thinking about the present moment, and we start then using the present moment so that we can make our future selves live a better life. Because if you don't do the work today that is required of you, of accomplishing your goal, of becoming financially free, of achieving an amazing body that you want to have, of having an amazing family, that later version of you will have to suffer for what you didn't do right now. So that's why we continuously have to imagine and think of our future self, what he will be going through, and physically feel those emotions basically every day. We have to remind ourselves, because this is exactly what will help us to move forward. Because every time you decide to not wake up on time, what will happen? Well, you didn't do the work. So that means your future self has to do the work. That means that you will most likely not be proud of yourself for the action that you have taken today. So in order to avoid feeling that way, what will you do? You will be more inclined to taking that action because you want to avoid being in pain. Because that's all what we are trying to do. We are avoiding of being in pain. But sometimes we do the opposite. We make ourselves go through pain because it's shaped in the form of comfort. And we stay comfortable, but at a later time, we have to suffer because the good things that we have to do are painful. The good things that we have to do that will make sure that our life will be in a better position long term is not fun at all. It is absolutely brutal. Waking up on time when you are maybe a little bit sleep deprived, when you didn't sleep that well, you feel it. Your eyes are burning. Your body doesn't work that well. Your mind is trying to tell you to go back to sleep. But after an hour and a half of you getting up and doing it, you start noticing that it fades away. So you'll experience temporary pain, but long-term rewards. So the emotional why that I continuously remind myself of for myself fuels me to not put my future self into a bad place. It allows me to face the discomforts that I have to face to become financially free, to build my business, to work full-time right now, and after my job, to come home and continuously work ruthlessly and relentlessly on building up my brand and my business. Not really taking any days off, because a day off feels like I am not making progress towards my goals. I only take days off when I notice that it will be beneficial for my goals. And more often than not, I notice that whenever I push myself past my limits, when I think that I'm going through too much, I see huge levels of growth, especially when I'm going through those moments when I'm experiencing pain. I remind myself of my emotional why, which is my future self, which is my family, which is even the dream car that I want to have, which is not working forever this job that I'm currently working, being surrounded by the people that I'm working with, because they are not the people that I want to have my children be around of. I want to make sure that my children will be around achievers. So I have to make sure that I myself suffer and go through that pain right now so that at a later time, I can make sure that my children are in a good position. being guided by the right people, being influenced by the right people. That they don't have to see a father who's continuously frustrated that he's working a job with people that he doesn't like. Now, I'm not saying that I'm frustrated, because I've found a way to not become frustrated, and that is to remind myself of my emotional why, to be grateful for that, what I'm going through, because it allows me to work even harder on accomplishing my goals. Being able to remind myself of the things that I want to accomplish for myself allowed me to quit smoking weed. It allowed me to stop procrastinating. It allowed me to quit playing video games. And I'm continuously aligning my daily habits to my long-term goals, regardless of how difficult they are. Everything that I'm going through, which is painful, is worth it. Because I know, and I have meticulously planned it out, that what I am doing is aligned to me reaping the rewards at a later period of my life. In the past, I used to hate my full-time job. I used to hate waking up and going to it. I used to even stop working full-time jobs simply because I felt like I didn't have enough time to work on my goals. But why was that? That was because after work, I wasn't doing the things that were necessary. I would allow that negative emotion of me having to suffer and go through the pain of working that full-time job, which I had to do in that moment, to influence the habits that I was going to do after work, which weren't then productive in me achieving my goals long-term. So the more and more I aligned myself to my emotional why, it started to make sense that I have to go through it, that I have to make it happen. Because if I don't go through it and work my full-time job, first and foremost, I won't be able to pay my bills. Not being able to pay my bills will put more stress on me that will just influence with the right mind that I should have to be able to put in the work. That means that I don't have a roof above my head. That will create more problems for me to not being able to invest my time and energy into doing the things that get me to be financially free, which is building my business, which is being surrounded by purposeful men, which is being purposeful myself. So me working my full-time job right now is me being purposeful, is me being aligned to my goals. Am I working with people that I want to work? No, completely not. And I do experience it continuously, that I am surrounded by people I don't want to have in my life. And in the past, being surrounded by these people made me feel negative. It made me feel unhappy. Even to a point that it drove me to be so negatively impacted about it after work, continuously thinking about it and dreading to go back to work, calling in sick because I didn't want to face those people. Until I started to use it as motivation. It's part of my emotional why. If I don't do the work today that will get me closer to accomplishing my goals, which is working on my business, then I will forever have to be working with these kinds of people, because that means that I don't deserve the success that I'm aiming for, because I wasn't willing to do the work. I've allowed myself to be influenced by it negatively instead of seeing it as an opportunity to make myself better, to educate myself on the right things, to not procrastinate on doing the work, and actually learning to love the pain of being in this moment. So in the beginning, I mentioned something about my own anger. I mentioned that I was pissed off at myself and what I wasn't doing to help me move forward, and I used it, but I noticed that that isn't something that I could rely on long term. I couldn't, because it faded away. It wasn't something that I could continuously tap into, because it was something that I relied on of something in the past, instead of having it as something that I could use it to fuel me for the future things that I want to accomplish. But the past is the past. The past will never come again. Unless you decide to live in the past, that is when you will start manifesting the past in your life. So whenever I started thinking about the future, when I started to think about the things that I won't be able to have in the future, that's when I was clearly able to use my emotions aligned to those things, because that is still to come. And that won't come if I don't manage to handle the things that I have right now in my life. Was it hard? Yeah, it is hard. It is difficult. And on some days, I still am challenged. And I love being challenged, because this is what is necessary for me to get where I have to go. And I know from experience, a lot of people crumble with being able to persevere through the challenging moments. When they find that something is too difficult, they give up. Well, when I find that something is too difficult, I persevere. I make it happen, because I know that most people will give up. And in order for me to be able to live the life that I want, to be able to have my dream car, to have my wife live free, to have my children live free, and that they can be educated by the right people, that they can live an amazing life and build an amazing life for themselves, I have to do the hard work. I have to discipline myself to stay aligned with that long-term vision. If I don't, they'll have to suffer, and I don't want them to suffer. So that's a powerful mindset that you can rely on. The consequences of not working on my goals weighs harder than having to go through the pain that the work itself brings. So something that you will experience in your journey towards accomplishing your goals is that you will have these thoughts where you'll be questioning yourself whether or not you are selfish. Well, you're not being selfish. Just because you cannot see your family as much as you want to, just because you cannot be with your friends as much as you'd want to, just because you have to say no to meeting up with people, doesn't mean you're selfish. What's actually selfish is you not persevering through the hardships and you allowing these thoughts to influence you, because long term, you crumbling in that moment will make sure that you won't be able to achieve your goals, that your future family won't be able to live in prosperity, that they won't be able to live in abundance, that they won't be able to live the life that you want them to live because you decided to crumble. This is something that I had to remind myself frequently, because sometimes I get these thoughts, am I being selfish? Am I doing the right things? Like, I feel like I'm missing out on all the fun things that are happening in life. But no, this is the fun things, because the fun thing is not only the work as well, but the rewards you reap from it at a later time in life. So I had to start enjoying this moment right now, which after 3 years, I managed to do. So if you're someone who's tired of trying to figure this out alone, and you want to overcome the habits that are holding you back from accomplishing your goals and being consistent, then scroll down to the comment section below. There will be an opportunity for you to book your free one-on-one clarity call with me. In 30 minutes, I'll guide you through my Freedom Foundation method. This is the same method that I used to take myself from being somebody who wasted his time, being influenced by my emotions the wrong way, which now turned me to work relentlessly on accomplishing my goals and being consistent with them. So go do that right now and don't miss your opportunity, because today can be the day that you can change yourself. I'm wishing you an amazing day ahead of you, and remember that you are 100% responsible for the results in your life. Make the hard decision today, and I'll see you in the next one. All right? Bye-bye.